There's something about taking the time and allowing ourselves to feel exactly what it is that we do feel, about taking that time to stop and really get real about probably the unpleasantness of what we're feeling and what we don't actually want to feel. Covering it up with a get going, covering it up with a I've got this, covering it up with this I'm going to do this, covering it up with action. And while action is generally useful, when we don't know where we're truly starting, action becomes nebulous. Action for the sake of action doesn't take us to where we want to be. So we're taking actions and steps that make us feel productive, but we don't really go anywhere. Or if we're lucky, these steps take us in a parallel direction to where we want to go, and we live a parallel life, but we never get there. So we never feel satisfied. When we take the time to feel what we're feeling, to let that emotion move through and pass through us, we experience where we are. We get real with where we are. And we don't have to be afraid of where we are or who we are. We just allow it to be. Not so that we stay stuck, not so that we dig a hole and never come out, but in fact the opposite. So we become unstuck. So we can release ourselves and be able to figure out the best way, the most authentic way to move to get to where we want to go. And authentic comes from Latin, where the first part of the word means to author, and the second with the essence. So to move authentically is to author our external lives according to the internal essence of our being. So we start with who and where we really are, not where we want to be. Not covering it up with how we'd like to be, but where we really are and who we really are. And when we get clear about that, we can get clear about where we want to go and the best way to get there. To be the creator of our external life from the internal essence of our being. We give ourselves the best chance possible to make sure that our first step is going to take us in the direction of our choosing, starting with where we are, how we are, instead of who or how we think we should be. When we don't allow ourselves to feel anything, everything gets tense and stuck and tight and we can't breathe. And there are generally two ways of dealing with this, depending on our personality. And the one is to close in and hide and disappear and get smaller and smaller. And the other is to go out and compensate and overcompensate and cover up for who we're not. Cover up for how we're truly feeling. And all our energy is going into ourselves to fix ourselves rather than creating what we want. But if we just let ourselves feel what we're feeling, not so we can live there forever, but so we can know it. We don't have to hide it from ourselves, and we don't have to hide ourselves from ourselves. So we don't make ourselves our unbearable secret. So when we take that first step, we take it authentically and with the clarity of who we are in our full presence. So when we take that first steps, we get to where we want to go. Rather than a disconnect of striving and struggling in a world of shoulds and coulds and supposed tos, but we take the time to let the energy move through us so we can feel what is true for us right now. So when we take that first step or that next step, it's a true step and actually takes us in the direction of our choosing.